Hi there. Um, One thing I like to talk about is I think that a lot of the feminist movement came out of a sense that many women had that they were unappreciated. But unfortunately, instead of addressing this feeling of being unappreciated, instead of adequately addressing it, much of the feminist movement ended up worsening it. I remember a headline, I think it was in Family Circle from Barbara Bush, the First Lady and wife of um, the first President Bush, saying, "Women's lib made me feel worthless." That was a very sad headline, but I think she speaks for a lot of women. Women's lib made her feel worthless because instead of demanding equal value for traditionally female work, which to a large extent was the domestic economy, the work in the home, it appeared to glorify the paid labor market and to even further erase the work in the home. So that it worsened the problem that it was basically that it grew out of an attempt to address, which was heavily ironic. Okay. And of course, it also it kind of led to the replacement of the term housewife with the term stay at home mom, which I think has problems. I think stay at home mom has a couple of problems. One of them is it basically erases homemaking um, functions other than the one with the child. You know, you kind of understood that a housewife did housewife things, or a homemaker did things to make a home that weren't always necessarily with the child or children. But a stay at home mom is just with the child. It also, of course, also has nothing to do with housewives or homemakers who don't have children or whose children might not be in the home. But anyway, um, that was, I think, that's been one of the problems, I think, with the women's movement is that a lot of parts of it were incoherent. And there were parts of it that wanted more value, wanted to insist on greater value for traditionally female um, work. But it just seems that those voices tended to get overwhelmed by the ones that tended to concentrate on the paid labor market. Also, I want to say that in general, we have tended to lose sight of the fact that there is a domestic economy, that there is work in the home done by both men and women. Um, paid work is not the only work. And married and single people, men and women, do a lot of work that is important, that is outside the paid labor economy, that is work in the home. Okay, I do think that those are points that tend to get lost And of course, the women's liberation movement is not the only culprit. It's just an overall tendency to just focus entirely on the paid labor market. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Hope you enjoyed them.